Cash-a-maniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Welcome back to the Geo Gearheads, episode 425. I'm Daryl W4, back as usual with Chris of the Northwest.
Hey, Daryl, thank you for opening the show. This is, guys, this is one of my favorite shows. I get so excited about these. I don't know how to talk sometimes. This is a randomized show. I don't know how to pronounce this one because it's got three consonants together.
Yeah, I don't know either.
XCVI.
No, that doesn't really work because the vowel is at the end.
Well, that was the E at the end. I pronounced it. Okay, never mind.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't know. But Ian says it's time to get random, and random we will get. Yes, this is a randomized show. Again, it's one of my favorite types, folks. We have an opportunity to talk about a bunch of little topics, probably not enough to fill up a show on the one topic in and of itself. But you know what? These are the times we get to listen to what you want to talk about. So you can always email us at GeoGearheads at Cash-a-maniacs.com. I knew it was the Cash-a-maniacs part. Why, Daryl? How many years have we been doing this? You would think I would get this down.
We're over 8 years. We are in our 8th season.
Wow. So email us your topics for our next randomized show, GeoGearheads at Cash-a-maniacs.com. Daryl, how do you like these shows?
You know, I absolutely love them. And sometimes I feel like we do them too often because, you know, it's fun because they're a random set of topics, but it's not that nice big topic. But boy, when we got so much feedback and so many little blurbs and whatnot, we just can't help but to do them. Well, so it was only like 3 weeks ago that we did one.
I know. And here's a little insider tip that not everybody knows, Daryl. We often don't get through all the topics that we have scheduled for a show.
No, we don't. And we do have another one scheduled in 4 weeks.
Yeah. So make sure you get your tips into us because we want to talk about the stuff you want to talk about. We're here for you.
And a lot of what we've got tonight is from our audience members. Not all of it, but a lot of it is. So why don't we kick off with a YouTube comment that came in from Ravel. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Talking about last week's show. Great show. One question I have is how ownership applies to virtual caches. While many virtuals may not be that involved, there are some that are definitely worth preserving. If the owner passes away or moved on, is there anything preventing these from being adopted? And as soon as I saw this, I'm like, yes, but let's go double check just to make sure. And Rock Chalk did get back with us and said the archived and grandfathered cache types cannot be transferred to a new owner. You can refer to the Help Center article, and we'll put that in the show notes. So it's the section 4, ownership after publication, if you want to go and look that up. But yeah, unfortunately, anything that is archived or grandfathered, so your virtuals and your webcams, that kind of stuff, cannot be archived or cannot be adopted.
Cannot be adopted. Wow. GSM times 2 says that is a great question. It truly is. I wonder if that applies for the reward virtuals. Now I know it
does, because remember you can't
give away.
Yeah, you can't adopt those either.
But what happened? Well, I guess they're grandfather type since they are virtuals, right?
Right. And that was the interesting thing is they had to actually pull some games, I think, in the database to make those work. They had to actually go and generate the caches and then convert them.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm still excited to go out there and get new virtual caches.
I am too. I don't know anyone who doesn't. That was a bad sentence. I don't know people who complain about the virtual rewards aside from now there's more virtuals out there, so they can't claim that they've done all the virtuals.
See, that increases the challenge in the game for them.
Yes, but one of the nice things about the grandfathered caches is you knew there were not going to be new caches placed.
That's true.
Okay, here we go. This is an interesting one from GSM times 2 on YouTube. Great question, because those have not property like other geocaches. And that's one of the kind of one of the questions that I actually put in as notes for next week's ethics show. So we'll talk about that, about the property aspect of it a little bit more next week. And we had Vince on the website ask if there's a web page where he can learn when and where the live recording is and how to be part of the peanut gallery.
We love the peanut gallery.
Yes.
And, we don't refer to you as the peanut gallery. You're our loyal listeners.
Or the research department.
Or, yeah. I mean, you guys are all over it.
Time out for a second. On a Boat says webcam rewards 9.0. And GSM times 2 likes that concept. That I would love to see webcams come back. Well,
they're I can understand why they archived them. There was a time where, the webcams were starting to fail all over because of the older ones using Java or Flash or whatever proprietary system they use. But now they're very stable. So I think it's worthwhile coming back.
Yeah, but we're still seeing a lot of those webcams disappear because people don't like maintaining them. Companies have moved, whatever. On the Boat says a good friend of mine who will be watching the show tomorrow made a great point about webcams and concerns with new privacy laws.
Ooh.
And that is actually one of the things I've thought about. Yeah. Anyway, getting back to where you can find these live shows, the best thing to do is head over to geogearheads.com, click on the upcoming shows, which takes you to YouTube. So you can actually just go to our channel on YouTube too, but this is a little faster. And you can set reminders on all of those upcoming shows. So right now, you're going to find a whole bunch of shows up there because I just did a whole bunch of scheduling.
I call that a slew, a whole slew.
A slew? All right. So we've got, the 4 shows up there. If you want to take a look at those. So, right now we're doing one live show, but this is one of the things is the live streams there or don't show up there once they've started. This is only for the future. So you'll want to set the reminders on any of these that you want to attend, or better yet, just set the reminder for the whole channel. But, we've got the show next week on caching ethics, the week after global positioning, GSAC coming up on the 12th of March. Then our next randomized show on the 19th of March. So there you go.
Nice. Now we should mention these shows are at 6:10 p.m. and or 9:10 or 6:10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's 9 p.m. or 9:10 p.m. Wow, this you would think this isn't as hard as it is. Eastern Standard Time. On Thursday evenings. I'm just here. I don't know what time we go live. I'm just here all day long.
And it's only standard time until we switch into daylight savings in the northern hemisphere, because we are.
What did I say? Standard?
You did say Pacific Standard, yeah.
Okay.
Pacific and 6:10 Pacific and 9:10 Eastern, aka 8:10 Central. We could get into that, but you could get all those translations right off of the YouTube site. So there you go. Always handy to have.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the research department is going crazy. Anne on Facebook is saying new cachers don't understand how to carefully log webcams. I would go even further than that and say that people don't know, new cachers don't understand webcams at all.
Now, I want some more information here, Annie. What do you mean when you say carefully log webcams?
Well, she means no maintenance logs.
Well, that was very useful. Thank you, Annie. You're quick.
Yeah, no, it's a definite issue. So, Ooh, interesting. RG asks, is anyone else having problems loading new caches from email to the app? And On a Boat says, yes, ever since I got my new iPhone. That sounds to me like something hasn't registered correctly on the phone. I'd have to dig into that.
Interesting. Now, getting back to webcams, if we can. I did a webcam around Christmas time in a quaint little Christmas village from here. And, that webcam took, it seemed like 5 minutes or more to refresh the picture up on the webpage, which when you're standing out there looking at the webcam, 5 minutes is an eternity.
Yeah.
So
when you're especially on like a trip or something like that, that 5 minutes is killer. And 5 minutes is a lot longer if you're just standing there waiting for a webcam than if you're looking for a container.
Refresh. Come on, refresh.
Well, and the worst part is when I've done some of those and you sit there and refresh like every 15, 20 seconds and you'll get that refresh that's happened and it's your back is turned to the camera.
Right. You turn around to look at something and that's the moment. Oh, this is a good one. Whoops. And no selfies on webcams on claimed fines. We have one webcam here in Seattle. It's a traffic cam. And I'm going to go out on a limb saying 99% of the time it's pointed the wrong way. Right? And we had a bunch of people come through from out of the country and they just took selfies in the spot and claimed it. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. This is an incredibly difficult webcam to get because, it's looking up and down the freeway. But if it's looking in the correct direction, there is a sidewalk out there you can stand on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't agree with taking a selfie in place of a webcam cache.
Well, I've had some of those where the webcam is questionable technically. They have various issues, and the CO has allowed that because of those problems. That I don't have so much a problem with.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a problem with it and, hey, hang on, it's going to be repaired and the CO allows it, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen that for issues where there's maintenance on the area around it. So like you can't get to the webcam.
See, that too bad. You have to wait.
Well, no, one of them that I saw was a park where it was down for a multi-year maintenance, which would mean that if they didn't do something, it would have been archived. Yeah. So their fix was get a selfie in front of the construction poster, as I recall.
RG asked, traffic cam? Does a red light camera ticket count?
Wow.
There's one school zone I drive through on a regular basis, and every time I drive through there, I see the flash of the, speed of the automated camera there getting somebody who's speeding through. And I'm like, guys, every time I come through here, somebody's getting, the city's apparently making bank on that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, those things actually work. Why don't we move on though? What's that?
Did you say unfortunately?
Unfortunately, they actually work. Yes. Anyway, so let's move on to an announcement from geocaching.com. And that is the dates for the CEDO seasons in 2020. So once again, we have two of them. Season 1 is going to be Sunday, March 1st through Sunday, May 31st. Why they couldn't have gone to Leap Day, I don't know. That would have been so much more convenient. But they didn't let us know until recently, so you wouldn't have had time to get your CEDO in anyway, so I'm not going to complain. And then the second one is going to be Thursday, September 1st through Monday, November 30th. So a couple of good windows there.
I like that they're 3 months long. And, you've got multiple seasons. I think that's nice. We've got a group around here that's working to do a monthly CETO.
Nice. They're going to work out well.
Yeah.
Another announcement from geocaching.com, though, on the 20th anniversary celebration, which for anyone who doesn't know, that's GC 896 PK.
Papa
And-
Kilo.
Papa Kilo, yep. They said if you have never visited Geocaching HQ and logged the GC K25B HQ geocache, you can sign up for the HQ logging opportunity on Friday, August 14th. The HQ logging opportunity will be located directly outside of Geocaching HQ, so you're not going to get to go in. That's one thing to note. As we are expecting large numbers, you will need to secure a free ticket for the HQ logging opportunity during the available 30-minute time slots on the event website. So, something to keep in mind, it's only going to be on Friday, August 14th. So you have to make sure to be out there and do it if you want to claim that cache as well. And you need to get the 30-minute time slots. I didn't put it in the show notes, but I believe that if you've already claimed the cache, you will not be able to get a ticket.
Interesting.
So they are trying to make it available for everyone who needs it.
Nice.
Next thing they mentioned is that there are going to be stage appearances by the Travel Bugs and Bugsy Travels and the Ammo Boxes.
Oh, Bugsy Travel in the ammo boxes. That's a great.
I'm very excited about that. That's going to be pretty cool. Of
I
course,
love the Travel Bugs.
I don't think. Yeah, Travel Bugs are awesome. We actually had I can't remember his name on the show way back when in the Cacher Maniacs days.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't we have him on the show once to talk about Travel Bugs?
I think so.
Yeah, as he talked to us about Travel Bugs as a travel bug. That was a lot of fun.
It was very Inception-like.
Yeah, that could have been on Geocaching Podcast back when I was doing production on that show as well. And then pre-sales for the official event merchandise are available until July 15th on the event website. So you have a bunch of dates there. If you do want to go to the HQ logging opportunity, make sure to do those quickly because I'm sure that's going to get sold out essentially quickly. At least the favorable time slots would.
Well, Daryl, we've got some not so much geocaching news, but some things that might affect geocachers here in the near future. First one, we get from GPS World that the Mobile World Congress 2020 is canceled due to coronavirus concerns.
Yeah, and this is happening all over the place. Nikon Rumors reported that CP Plus 2020 was canceled. And there was an interesting summary of the situation on The Verge talking about the tech industry and the predictions for what it's going to do. And this was based on a Trend Force report,
right,
talking about the likely impact on tech manufacturing.
Yeah, because I mean, there are so many factories just shut down in China due to coronavirus concerns that, you got things like Apple saying, hey, we may miss our forecasts, our projected income for this quarter because of this.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but just so that people understand, because the guy who's actually in charge of ordering a lot of the equipment that we resell wasn't understanding exactly what was going on. He was thinking that everything was halted because the coronavirus was going to travel on the various shipments. It has nothing to do with that. It was they being the Chinese government and I think it was the World Health Organization were advising everyone to shut down and stay home to halt the spread of the virus. Exactly. It was all about containing it and letting it run its course and die out without spreading. So factories shut down, transit stopped moving. It had nothing to do with the coronavirus spreading outside of China so much as keeping it from spreading and living within China. So that's what it's all about. Keep it where it was, let it die out, and then we can come back and move on. So factories are closed, stores are closed. It was like ghost towns all over the affected areas. And there's some great photos of that out there, some great videos of just, ghost town, but everyone's still alive. You'll see those after like a tsunami or something.
Yeah, where you've got this huge city area and, you got a dozen people walking around.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Anna Boat said that a lot of the Chinese workers were also home due to Chinese New Year, and still, as well as their workplaces hadn't reopened to, yes. It was a cascade effect. Some of it was planned, some of it not, and it got really bad. So that's what's actually going on. Its production was halted, shipping was halted, everything just stopped to keep it from spreading. So we are going to see problems with a whole bunch of things. Smartphone production is expected to decline 12% year on year.
Wow.
Which would make this the lowest quarter for smartphone production in 5 years. So that's going to be an issue. Fiber optics suppliers are backed up now as well.
Yep.
Sorry.
Jeannie says, I understand this has affected path tags also.
Yes.
I was thinking path tags and geocoins are both, Chinese production products. So that may affect some of this as well.
Oh, it absolutely does. In all of the stamped metal and enamel is done in China. It's just the way it's been done for centuries, and they were good and cheap at it. But this is what's going to start really, I think, affecting us mostly as geocachers, is the DRAM and NAND flash markets are unlikely to be affected due to the stockpiling, but we are likely to see some problems with delivery times because of the delays in getting stuff to the plants. One of the interesting things that wasn't mentioned in here, Samsung is actually expected to be one of the winners out of all of this, because they are doing still a lot of their production in Korea, which was not affected, and they don't get as much from China. Most companies get a lot of their components from China. Yeah. So
the video game console manufacturing has been heavily hit.
Exactly.
So
they're
Xbox
talking
Series X and the PS5
they're going to be pushed back.
Yeah,
very likely, and they don't have the cost announced for either one of those yet. And I gather that some of that is due to the DRAM price issues that have been out there. They also say that smartwatches, laptop PCs, and smart speakers are likely to see the biggest decline in sales because of this. Smartwatches alone are set to drop 16%. So we're not looking necessarily at heavy price changes. However, we are going to see likely delays in getting stuff. So if you wanted to get that new smartphone, the new AirPods, the new Series 5 watch, chances are you're going to have a much harder time doing that now.
Which means geocachers aren't going to be able to stay in and play their newer updated games or smartwatch with their smartwatches or phones, and you may as well just get out and find geocaches.
I was just going to say, the upshot of this, ignore all the new tech, get out there and find caches. Because the caches have not been affected by the coronavirus.
Oh, no, they wouldn't.
Yet. But speaking of tech, there was a interesting article in Mac Rumors titled iOS 13 Battery Drain 15 Plus Tips to Make Your Battery Last Longer. Well, there's actually only 15, but we'll start with number 1. Limit when and how often apps access your location. Now, this is a good one that we never really mentioned on the previous shows, because at the time you didn't have the per app on and off switches that you do now. So by the whole concept of this is by limiting the number of apps that have access to the location, it's reducing the drain on your battery because they're not going to be paying attention to it. It's a great idea. I like that. And it's also going to save resources. Keep your phone running better. Limit apps using Bluetooth. Similar situation there, but we've talked about the Bluetooth drain on previous battery episodes. And at this point, that whole thing has kind of changed from what we were talking about previously, because so much does use Bluetooth. In most cases, you can't turn off Bluetooth like you used to. Turn on low power mode. Chris, I've only done this once to see that I could do it. I can't even remember where that switch is most of the time.
Yeah, it's one of those things that come on when your battery's, down to 20%. Do you want to turn on low power mode? And it turns itself off when it's, sufficiently charged. So it's not one of those things that I would say you have to turn on right away, but it does affect your GPS location.
I was just going to say that it's one that I don't want to turn on because of that impact on the location. Your polling goes down, your screen brightness goes down. So it's fine if you need to keep that on and you're in the low battery mode. But I know a few people who will turn that on when they get to like the office or whatever, just to save battery over the course of the day. And then they turn it off when they leave. So there are some ways to use that. However, never use that when you're geocaching. It will affect your accuracy.
Right.
Number 4, use Wi-Fi whenever possible. And this is one of those things we talked about previously. If you're in the city, leave the Wi-Fi on. Not so much to actually connect to Wi-Fi, which is what they're talking about here, but to get an improved accuracy, because the Wi-Fi helps to refine the location data. When you're in the woods, turn it off because there's nothing out there anyway. Oh, interesting. On a Boat says that since we're on the iPhone topic, my GPS accuracy on my new iPhone 11 Pro has gotten much better since we last talked about it. It's had a few software updates since then.
Interesting. Well, and that's because we've talked about it. Apple's listening.
Yeah, it's been an issue from what I understand with a lot of things. And, we even saw an article about it with one of the major tech news. Back to the list, though. Number 5, activate airplane mode in low signal areas. I do this. Do you?
I don't typically. I usually have a USB battery with me that I'm, not so much worried about just draining it. But I have on some longer hikes.
Mine isn't so much about that as I don't like it heating up from the signal searching when I am in a poor signal area. So there are times where I've turned on the airplane mode and left Wi-Fi on to connect to Wi-Fi in a building. And that does help as well. And make sure your battery is healthy is number 6. There is that battery health meter in the settings app now. Check on that, because when your battery is not in good shape, you're more likely to run into problems. And remember, too, that's not 100% accurate. That's its best estimation. I've run into a couple of phones now where like one of the cells went bad or something, and it just hit a point where it shut off because the battery was a problem. And they reported that they'd have 98% was Renee's when she had to take it in and get it replaced. And it was under warranty, but it's you don't like that. It's not good.
No, that's no good. You don't want your phone shutting off when you hit a certain power level, and you have.
Well, it says it has like 80% of the battery left.
Yeah.
That's not right.
No fun for geocaching. That's no fun anywhere.
No, it's just bad in general.
That's right. Now with the newer OSs, you can also manage apps that are draining the battery. So you can look at your battery usage, find which apps are draining it, and quit playing that game.
Well, and you'd be surprised how many of these apps are draining power in the background. And that's why number 8 is to limit the background activity.
Mhm.
So I always laughed at people who had Facebook, which isn't as bad as it used to be, Facebook on their phone, and wondered why they had a hot phone that only lasted a few hours. It's like, because you've got Facebook updating constantly. Delete it, and it's fine. And finally,
Or at least force close it.
well, even when they force closed it, it was still running. And force closing doesn't work anymore.
Really?
Yes.
For Facebook or for other
anything. Yeah. Force closing can help, but the background activities still run even if you force closed. So, yeah, generally the current wisdom is don't force close the app. And in some cases, the reason why they say this, some cases, force closing the app will actually disconnect the app from its background processes, and you'll get some runaway processes. There was also something else with that, but that was the one that stuck in my mind. It's like, really? We can't force close because people aren't coding well?
Yeah, because the things will get disassociated. Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I restart my phone once a week, whether it needs it or not.
It really depends. I've gone months without rebooting my phone, and then there's like certain software updates where it's literally I have to reboot every couple of hours. I really hate that. And adjust your mail fetch settings. I just leave those off. I fetch when I need it to, and that's it.
Yep, I don't have it go out and get it for me. Just when I need it, when I want to go check it, go get it at that point.
And limit notifications. Now, I kind of want to just turn off notifications, but it's one of the best features of the phone is getting those notifications. It's also one of the worst things is it's constantly the notifications, and I'm like that mouse at the pellet bar trying to get my next treat. Number 11 is disable automatic downloads and app updates. I do that for a different reason, is because I don't tend to update apps that I need because I've had those break before. 12 is activate dark mode. Now, they didn't mention it in the article, but typically I've found the recommendation is when it comes to the dark mode.
Newer.
Yeah, and it's not just iPhone 10, it's anything that has that OLED screen. And RG says fetching email is needed for FTF.
Not if you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and fetching is only for things like POP, where it needs to go out and get it from the server. You want the push notifications. That is better than doing the pull, which is the fetching. So there is a difference. And On a Boat says you don't need it if you're sending via text messages, SMS, which is also true.
I find, though, that the text message, you're getting your FTF notices through text messages. For me, it delays it up to 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So they were useless for me.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. There are some other ways of doing the text messages, but I think the most popular ones I've actually shut down, or at least that I was using. So 13, turn down the device brightness. Now, this doesn't matter what type of phone you have. The brightness is going to affect the battery life. Adjust the auto lock and turn off raise to wake. Makes sense, especially for us cachers. That's going to keep activating the screen when you don't necessarily want it. And then number 15 is make sure everything's up to date. So some good tips in there for sure. Something to think about. It's not necessarily going to fix your battery issues, and it's not necessarily stuff that you want to do, but we'll have that link in the show notes. Take a look at it. Give us your tips and tricks that you like as well, and we'll drop those in the next Randomize show in about 4 weeks. GeoGearheads at cachemaniacs.com.
And in 4 weeks, I might have a opportunity to install iOS 13 on my phone. I've been holding off because there are real security issues.
Yeah. There's all kinds of issues that I don't like so much with 13, but there's other. Fortunately, they've been keeping 12 up to date, so we don't have to worry about some of those holes being left open. But if you're on some of those older versions, it's not such a bad idea to update to at least 12, and you can't do that anymore. One of the interesting things, totally off subject here, with 13, they've stopped signing older versions of iOS 13, so you can't roll back. And part of that is to address security concerns over hacked versions of the OS, and that's how a lot of the jailbreaks were happening.
Interesting.
So it's not just to prevent the jailbreaking, which is a handy byproduct. And I heard a great explanation of this one time. It's not that Apple wants to stop jailbreaks. It's they don't care if they do. It's not on their radar. Now, that wasn't always the case. They did actually actively stop some of the early jailbreaks. But the whole point is they're out there to close security holes. And what jailbreaking has been doing is using those security vulnerabilities. So by closing those, they're stopping the jailbreaks. All right, you want to read the email that we got from LNN Radio? Or Railroad.
LNN Railroad. I don't use Apple, but I'm trying to help a new cacher that does. Is there an iOS app that mimics a GPS, allowing the user to look at coordinates, number of satellites, estimated error, etc.?
No, I replied that I'm using David Riles GPS diagnostic satellite test, which is a $3 app.
I think that's David R. Yalls.
Riles, how's that?
Okay.
Riles. But yeah, it's just the one that I happen to use. I know there's other apps out there for getting things like the coordinates and stuff like that. The Compass app that's built in.
I was going to say
that.
I was just going to pop up and show that the Compass app shows that as well.
Yeah, well, but it doesn't show the satellites.
No.
And that's the difference. Is he specifically wanted something that's going to show the satellites. And I actually got this app for when I was running into those issues with the Oregon 750.
Okay.
Because this was able to tell me where my source was coming from and why I was having problems.
There was something I had that showed me the satellites on a phone, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, there's been a few. But see, this is one of the things that this app lets you do, and it's going to look like poopy on the screen. I needed to set this up beforehand. But it will give you the green check marks for every service that's reporting in. So you can see if it's getting cellular location, if it's getting a Wi-Fi location. Is the compass working? Is the Bluetooth working? So that's why I got this one, is specifically for doing that kind of troubleshooting. I really never use it though.
Mm-hmm. So he continued on saying, thank you. Another one that shows GNSS view.
Oh, yeah, that one actually, that's a different type of system. Mm-hmm. And that's probably better for like geeking out.
And it's free.
Is it? Ooh. Well, let's put that in the show notes so that we can actually share it with our lovely audience. And we'll have to download it.
You are so
lovely. Anyway, so he continued, LNN Railroad, that is. Thank you. It has been an experience helping a newcomer get into GPS when she used different hardware from me, Apple instead of Android, and no GPS yet. It has been a learning process for me too. On the plus side, she's good at talking to people and getting permission to place caches at some point, or at some very good locations. with my help so that she's not just a newcomer placing caches. The highlight so far was getting a cache on the grounds of the Hermitage, probably pronouncing that wrong, Andrew Jackson's home, and a farm near Nashville. So there you go. More reason to befriend non-cachers and help them out is, they might be better at getting those first contacts in place. That's always one of the sad things, is trying to get. Wow, we are running long, guys. Sorry. Getting the contacts and or getting the permission for placing those new caches.
Exactly.
All right. Los Angeles Air Force Base had some news a little while ago. You want to read that one?
Yes. So GPS-3 Space Vehicle 3, Columbus, arrived safely in Florida. The U.S. Space Force and Missile Systems Center successfully delivered the third GPS-3 satellite to Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida, February 5th, 2020. The GPS Space Vehicle 3 was safely transported from the Lockheed Martin facility in Waterton, Colorado, to the Space Coast Regional Airport in Titusville, Florida. Nice.
So not too much longer till we get our third GPS-3 satellite up.
Nice. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want a good GPS-3 satellite?
Well, we all want good GPS-3 satellites, but I don't want one. I want multiples. We need to have multiples. They don't do very good on their own.
No.
Data Wrangler actually wrote in through the website with a whole lot of text because it involved an executive order from Donald Trump. Hi, guys. On February 12th, the president issued an executive order called National Resilience through Responsible Use of Positioning, Navigation, and Timing. And he goes on to say, what really caught my eye came several paragraphs later in Section 4H. The executive order provides that within a year, the director of the Office of Science and Technology shall coordinate the development of a national plan for the research and development and pilot testing of additional robust and secure PNT services that are not dependent on global positioning satellite systems. So what are we looking at are we looking at the possibility of geocaching indoors, underground? Wish I had more details, but I will be on the lookout for future developments. So we'll include a link in there to the whole, to an article from the Department of Transportation that actually has more information about it. My thinking is this, as nice as that would be to have those indoor caching and everything, this is not about that so much as looking for alternatives that cannot be blocked or interfered with. They're doing an awful lot of work in testing and drilling in systems after GPS goes offline and that kind of thing. It's really going to be alternates, I think, for GPS, not better positioning. Oh, such fun. We're already at almost 3/4 of an hour, and we still have a couple more things that we want to touch on. You want to take this article from phys.org?
Yeah. New green technology generates electricity out of thin air. Scientists at University of Massachusetts Amherst developed a device that uses a natural protein to create electricity from moisture in the air. It was reported today in Nature. Laboratory electrical engineer Jun Yao and microbiologist Derek Lovely at UMass Amherst have created a device they call AirGen, or air-powered generator, with electrically conductive protein nanowires produced by the microbe Geobacter. Okay. The AirGen connects electrodes to the protein nanowires in such a way that the electrical current is generated from the water vapor naturally present in the atmosphere. The new technology developed in Yao's lab is non-polluting, renewable, and low cost. It can generate power in even areas with extremely low humidity, such as the Sahara Desert. It has significant advantages over other forms of renewable energy, including solar and wind, Lovely says, because unlike those renewable energy sources, the AirGen does not require sunlight or wind, and it even works indoors. I wonder if you could generate enough electricity to run a humidifier so you can generate more electricity.
You might be able to, because it's probably not that tough to get the water into the air, but the problem is getting that water to put into the air in most spots.
Oh, yeah. But that's amazing to me.
This is really an amazing technology if it actually ends up working. The impression I got from what I did read of this article is they're not looking at a whole lot of power.
Right.
More like enough for some medical devices, for things like the Internet of Things, which has been one of those big problems that they're trying to deal with all over the place, is how to power all of these smart cities, not just the stuff in your home, but the smart cities. So I think we might be on to something. Chances are it's not going to amount to anything, but how nice would it be that you could run around with your smartphone, your GPS, whatever, and get, we'll say, double the battery life because it's generating some of the power as it uses it. And when it's sitting idle, it's going to charge itself up using nothing more than the humidity in the air.
And in Washington State, we've got a lot of humidity in the air.
We do. And that's one of my questions about this technology. Is it going, they say it works even in drier climates. What about when you get into that like really nasty rainforest type thing? Is it still going to work? And we're here in Michigan where we've got freezing weather.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a problem too. So we'll see how it actually works. This is in a lab. Most of the stuff never comes out. We talked about fuel cells back when we first launched the show and how they were the up and coming thing. And at this point, they're dead. No one uses them on a personal level. It ended up when they started getting them out there, they just didn't make sense. So unfortunate because it was a great idea and great technology, and they're still using fuel cells on large scale. Just didn't work for powering your laptop. That's
a bummer.
Blah, blah, blah. All right. We'll keep hoping because, we're gearheads. We love this stuff. Next thing is kind of a cautionary tale, and we'll wrap it up after this one. Because Flywheel is, as some people know, a company that made the home exercise equipment, specifically a bike is the one that came into question here. But it ends up that, this is for people who don't know what a Peloton bike is or the Flywheel. It's an exercise bike that's tied to like training and exercise materials that, in the case of Peloton, is a monthly subscription.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pay to use it, essentially. Well, it turns out that Flywheel ended up having copied some of the Peloton stuff, and they lost their patent infringement suit because they admitted as much. And the downside is for those people who bought the Flywheel cycles, they're dead. As of, I think it was today when we're recording this, I'm looking at the article and I don't see the actual date. Sorry. Effective March 27th, they're going to shut it down.
Okay.
So the Flywheel at Home service is going to be shut down on March 27th. You won't be able to use your nice Flywheel bike that you got. We're all excited about. It's gone. That's it.
You'll still be able to use the bike. You just won't be able to watch any videos on it.
Yeah, I'm not. Some of the reports that I saw even said that your bike was going to be bricked.
Really?
Yeah. Now, here's the nice thing. Peloton is going to swap your Flywheel bike for a like new Peloton bike.
No way.
That I thought was remarkable. However, you will have to pay for the Peloton service.
Okay.
So it's not a all lose situation here. But the reason I threw this into the rundown, and the reason I think this is important for geocachers, is this is part of the problem that we have in our current state of licensing. In just the way that software and everything is designed, is it's around services that exist in the cloud. There's at any given point any number of parties that could throw a wrench into that and create problems for you. So this is kind of a cautionary tale. This one turned out okay, but you want to make sure that you have backups of things that you have in the cloud. Even if it's on another cloud service, make sure it's not one that's tied to that first cloud service, because if that company goes bankrupt, then you've got problems. But for example, Flickr is one of those great photo sharing sites that no one really uses anymore. It was in jeopardy of being shut down, but Verizon, that had bought Yahoo, sold it to SmugMug, and SmugMug is really working hard to get that site viable again. My guess is if something were to happen to Flickr at this point, then migrate everyone to SmugMug. However, the business model is going to change, and if you had all your free photos up there expecting them to last forever, there's a good chance you won't have access to those.
And nothing lasts forever.
Yeah. So it's just something that I kind of wanted to do as a public service announcement. Keep this stuff in mind, folks. The cloud is awesome because you don't have to have the stuff locally. The software as a service really kind of bothers me. That's the big problem.
You don't have any control over it. If they decide to do an update and that update bricks a portion of the software you use, you don't have a choice. You're done.
Well, and with the perpetual license, you were able to use the software until you decided you don't want to, or it wasn't compatible. With software as a service, you have to keep paying for it perpetually. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the time that's more, but it is a better model for the developers. It makes more sense, especially because we are getting all the updates. Mm-hmm. And as GSM times 2 said, technology moves so fast it's hard to keep up. And that's why software as a service does make sense.
Right.
So don't stop using anything. It's a matter of make sure you're keeping all of that in mind. Use it smartly.
Ooh, on your smart devices, in your smart home, in your smart car, in your smart office.
Pretty soon, we're not even going to need the smart devices so much, because we're not even going to have to use the stuff at all, because we've got all the AI that's going to do it for us.
Oh, don't worry.
A bunch of new AI features.
Take care of you.
Well, there's a bunch of new AI features that were just released for Photoshop, which is now 30 years old.
Wow.
I was beta
30 years of bad magazine covers.
I was beta testing Photoshop 2 and even 1.1 updates. That's how long I've been using Photoshop, and I really didn't know how to use it at that point. And wow, is it
Daryl? You know what that makes you?
Old.
Yeah, makes you.
I know. I'm reminded that of every day now.
Oh, okay. When you get up and your bones creak, what was that? That's my knee. Oh,
it's not that so much as it is things like, episode 426 is coming up next week.
Yes. Next week's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're going to do ethics.
Yeah. And we want you to email us your challenging geocaching ethical situations that we can mull over. This is not going to be a show where we're probably going to get anything figured out. At least not if we're going to do it right.
That's true.
Email us at geogearheads@cashmaniacs.com with any of those situations that you really don't have a good answer for and want us to talk about it.
And make sure you send it to my attention if you just want a bad answer. I'm willing to do that. It's a free service I offer.
So are we going to have to change your name again to Bad Answer Generator?
Oh, I could do that.
And then March 5th is going to be the Global Positioning 1 show. Now, this one I'm really looking forward to because Limax is going to come on and talk about some of the history about the technology that we use to find our place on Earth. So he's actually going to talk about things like sextants.
Yes, and astrolabes.
Yes. I'm so excited because I went through some of that stuff in school, believe it or not, but I couldn't tell you anything about it anymore. It's been
Daryl.
Well, didn't we even do a show talking about how that worked?
Yes.
I couldn't find anything on it, but
yeah
it's like I can't even remember that. March 12th is going to be GSAC 3 with GSM times 2 talking about what is probably the favorite Windows tool for geocachers. Then on the 19th, episode 429 is going to be our next randomized show. Do we really need to say much more? Because, this is a randomized show and you've seen what randomized shows are from this and how absolutely random they are. So send in anything that you might have for that show or any of the others to geogearheads@cashmaniacs.com.
And make sure you check out the Cashmaniacs website at cashmaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes from this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners. So leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cashmaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the Cashmaniac shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cashmaniac shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. This show is copyright 2020 by Daryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.